Saying Death Stranding is a weird game would be an understatement. After all, it is made by Hideo Kojima. When the game released, it received positive reviews and feedback by the critics, but a bit more mixed from the actual consumers. When I played the game, I added it to my list of games that I wanted to get a PS5 version. And on that list, there were the following games: Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Detroit Become Human, God of War, and Death Stranding. Now with Death Stranding getting the director's cut version, there are 3 games on that list remaining. Death Stranding Director's Cut brings in a lot of changes and improvements to the massive game, but let's talk about the game as a whole to get a better understanding of it. The game's plot is, well, complicated, so I'm going to do my best to explain things. The game takes place in a post-apocalyptic United States, and the game specifies United States, but I'm not 100% sure if the whole world was affected or if it's just the US was ground zero. The Death Stranding was a cataclysmic event that brought BTs or beach things to the world. These creatures originate from a beach, which is a link to the afterlife where people visit when they have a near-death experience. With me so far? Good. When these BTs are around, they create a special rain known as timefall. The timefall can have a drastic effect on everything it touches, causing whatever it lands on to age rapidly and deteriorate. The BTs themselves can cause massive damage to the surrounding area by causing a void out when they consume a dead body or when they grab a person affected by dooms. Did I mention this was complicated? Due to timefall, the people of the United States have split apart into colonies that are underground for the most part. These colonies are called knots, and they are connected to each other via something called a chiral network. Or at least they would be. This is where Sam, your main character, comes into play. He is tasked with connecting these knot cities and colonies together via the chiral network. Sam is given what is called a bridge baby, or a BB, which allows him to see the BTs when he is connected to it. Sam himself is what is called a repatriate. Repatriates can travel back from a place called the Seam, which is a place between the living and the beach, almost like purgatory. So in doing so, Sam is able to come back to life, but his initial death will still cause a void out. And as I'm recording this right now, this all just sounds like a whole bunch of jargon. The story itself is a very slow burn. In fact, when I initially started playing the game, I had to put it down around chapter 3. This isn't because I thought this story was bad, but because it didn't really pick up until after chapter 3. The problem here is that the first 3 chapters are dedicated to tutorials and very long world building. The game itself took me about 100 hours to complete. The story is divided into 14 episodes, which I call them chapters, and each chapter is of varying length. But chapter 2 and 3 are the longest in the game. Chapter 2 can last anywhere between 4 to 6 hours, and chapter 3 upwards of 10 hours. The reason behind this is because in order to progress at a faster rate, you have to start connecting the chiral networks so you have access to more equipment and supplies. But the good news is that by the time you're done with chapter 3, you know the game mechanics in and out, as well as laid the foundation for the rest of your game. So by the time chapter 4 rolls around, you can enjoy the story at a much better pace. It's just the grind of those 2 chapters that seem to turn a lot of people away, and I was almost one of those. I picked up the game again a couple of months after release and could not put it down after chapter 4. This brings us to the gameplay. Another divisive discussion amongst players of Death Stranding. I will say that right off the bat, the gameplay is not for everyone. So let's go into detail so you can decide for yourself. I'm sure you've heard from many people that this game is a walking simulator. They're not entirely wrong. At its core, you are a glorified FedEx delivery driver. I mentioned connecting the different knot cities and communities via a chiral network. Doing so will make your deliveries easier to accomplish. But in order to connect these networks, you need to meet the requirements. While some of these requirements are met by simply making it to the city, others will require you to build trust first before they connect to the network. In order to build this trust, you need to build up a reputation by performing deliveries and getting graded after each one. Performing enough deliveries, and specifically the required ones, you fill up a star system. This star system is your reputation with that location. Filling a star will reward you in materials for building, special equipment, weapons, or new modes of transportation. It also deepens the connection to the chiral network, which will allow you to build more structures in the area. Structure building is an integral part of this game. The structures can have a ton of variety to aid you in your travels. We're going to talk about a few of these that I feel are really important. And as you progress through the game, you will eventually get vehicles, such as an electric trike or trucks. To take full advantage of these vehicles, you need a couple of things. First, you need roads. And I know that seems obvious, but in Chapter 3, you will basically spend most of your time building these roads. The roads not only offer you a smooth surface to travel on, but a safe location as well. While on the road, your battery on any vehicle will not run out, nor will you be attacked by any BTs. The roads, however, will not protect you from timefall, nor is it resistant to timefall itself, meaning it will degrade over time. You can repair the roads, however, as well as any other structure you build as long as you have the materials. The materials to build the roads, however, are very costly and require more materials as you progress further. But I will also mention that even though the roads do degrade over time, they have some of the longest lifespan out of any of the structures. 90 hours in, and none of my roads have been destroyed. There will be many times, however, that you will need to go off-roading. So having a recharging station for your vehicles is a must. Strategically building 1 or 2 recharging stations will give you that extra boost for those trips that take you somewhere where batteries are required. Safe houses offer a bit of reprieve in this barren wasteland. A safe house acts similar to the Knot cities. Inside, you are able to repair your vehicles, let Sam rest, collect and store items and weapons, as well as recharge batteries. Just like recharge stations, placement is important. The most important, in my opinion, and my favorite structure to build, are zip lines. Building a network of zip lines takes some work, but once you have them built, you can travel all over the map with ease. This makes deliveries quick and safe. Since you no longer have to travel by road, unless you have very heavy deliveries, you can cut travel time by minutes and sometimes even hours. Ziplining also allows you to bypass BT-infested areas, as well as hostile camps. There are still many other structures, but these were the most important ones I found myself using. Believe it or not, there is combat in this game. And as I mentioned, the many people who call this game a walking simulator probably never actually played the game. At first, when you encounter BTs, you'll find yourself running from them. But soon enough, you'll start making weapons to fight back. In the game, it is discovered that Sam's blood can be harmful to the BTs. So in order to fight them, Sam makes blood grenades. His guns will also fire bullets that are made with his blood. In order to use the guns, Sam must be carrying what's called blood bags. But don't worry if you're in a pinch, you can use your own blood directly. Though for obvious reasons, it drains your health. Defeating a BT can clear the timefall in that area temporarily and reward you with chiral crystals, which can be used to make equipment or structures. Combat isn't restricted to just fighting BTs. As you venture out, you'll find camps of people. These people are called mules. Mules basically want your cargo. For some reason, they have an obsession with it. Fighting them is pretty easy and kind of fun. You can fist fight them, you can use your cargo in your hands to bash them, or use weapons. But I should warn you that if you don't use non-lethal weapons on mules, it can cause problems such as void outs that creates a massive crater and a new breeding ground for BTs that permanently affects your game. Death Stranding has a lot going for it, and the director's cut version improves heavily on it. With improved graphics, gameplay, and added story elements, and support for the DualSense controller, there is a lot to consider about purchasing this wonderful game. Though, if you don't have the time or patience for a game like this, and when I say that, this game takes a while, I mean this game takes a while for the story to progress, then this game isn't for you. On the other hand, this is an emotional roller coaster that had me in tears a few times as I played it. And personally, I can't wait to jump back into this world. So, thank you for watching. Hopefully I helped you to decide on this game, and if I did, please leave a like and subscribe for more. And I'll see you all next time. Happy gaming.